Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel today. I'm going to be recapping Misfits 007. Let's get into it. There was only one fight that did go through, and that was Luis Nestor vs. Archie. The fight got cancelled because Archie had medical issues. Now let's rank these fights. Number 10 for me is Lil Belcy vs. Lil Kimchi. I think for me this fight alright, they put on a good fight, that is really about it. They put on a war and it did go all round, so I have to give props to them. Number 9 for me is Luis Nestor vs. Callum King. This fight was really a war. Callum King deserves a lot of credit for getting in the ring with like 1 week notice and went all rounds with Luis Nestor. I think this fight was just really enjoyable. Number 8 for me is Zuckles vs. History opponent. And the mystery opponent was Halil Ham. This fight was enjoyable. Zuckles threw a few illegal punches. One hit Halil in the back of the head. But overall it was okay fight, and Halil Ham actually did pretty good in this fight compared to Jinty's fight. Number 7 for me is Korn vs. Bear. This fight was very entertaining to watch. Both of them put on a show. And I was invested most of the fight. It was just very good. And both of them showed some good skills in the fight. Number 6 for me is Wings of Redemption vs. Boogie 2988. I had so much fun with this fight. To 300 kilograms people fighting each other, that was great. And it was nice to see that they are showing that anyone can do, it doesn't matter if you overweight or skinny. Number 5 for me is Virus vs. DK Money. I really enjoyed this fight. I don't like Virus because he was drugged up on the fight even though he won the win. Should have been DK Money's, but that out the way, it was a decent fight to watch. Number 4 for me, I Tennessee Thresh vs. Paige Keiki. For me this fight was really good and one of the best female fights on Misfits. It was just a brawl from start to finish. Both of these females had some good technique when throwing their punches, and it was just really enjoyable to watch. Number 3 for me is KSI vs. Joe Fournier. This fight was great and also very controversial because of KSI hitting Joe with his forearm. But without that, KSI had a lot of skill and really impressed me. Because Joe Fournier fought very awkward and KSI dealt with it very well without the forearm. Number 2 for me is Deji vs. Swarms. This fight was very good. Deji did well piecing up Swarms very well. And Swarms did well as well. For me, he won round 1. I feel like Deji didn't do as good as what I expected because I thought Deji would knock him out. Number 1 for me is Soul Pappy vs. Anthony Taylor. This fight was great. Both of them showed a lot of skills, and unfortunately it wasn't Salt Pappy's night because Anthony Taylor was fighting awkward. And Salt Pappy was trying to outbox him, but it was an awesome fight that I just really enjoyed. Now we are going to rank these fighters. Number 18 for me is Virus. Now if he wasn't drugged up in the fight I would have put him higher, but I don't respect that. He was on drugs and it just makes me mad that someone will do that. I don't care if you knocked out DK Money, you were still drugged, and I don't like that. Number 17 for me is Zuckles. Now, he did fight a mystery opponent, which I will give him props for, but he just looked sloppy. And no, it was his first fight, but he just didn't look as good as what he said. Number 16 for me is Boogie 2988. For me, he did good for his age and weight, and I think everyone is super proud that he pushed down the weight for this fight. It wasn't his night, but he did fight for it, which I have to give respect to. Number 15 for me is Lil Kimchi. She was alright in the fight. Didn't throw enough punches for my liking, but she did try her best and did step in the ring. So, I will give her props for that. Number 14 for me is Halil Ham. He did very good in this, 100% way better than his fight with Jinty, and I just like the more skills he has put on the table, and his chin is pretty strong, which is also a bonus. Number 13 for me is Wings of Redemption. For me, I think he did very well with this fight, and also respect for him stepping in the ring and losing that weight, so respect then, and also a good win for him as well. Number 12 for me is Little Belcy. For me, she did a good job with this fight and a good win in her books. She had a lot of skill and made the fight look easy, which it wasn't because of them had good skill, but I just really liked what she showed in this fight. Number 11 for me is Tennessee Thresh. She was a very good challenge against Paige Keiki, And this rematch was supposed to happen on the prime card, but Tennessee had a broken hand. So that was a bummer. But I just really liked the skill on what she showed. She did a great job. Number 10 for me is Swarms. I think Swarms did a good enough job against DAZN, not his best performance even though for me. He won the first round of the fight, but he did try, but DAZN just got the upper hand on him. Number 9 for me is Paige Keiki. I think for me she did so well in this fight and showed a lot of skill. She looked very good. And I am surprised. I knew she would be good, but not this good. Number 8 for me is Callum King. He was the replacement for his brother Archie. But I got to say he did impress me. With a week of training he did good. And went all rounds with Luis Nestor, so I have to give respect to him for that. Number 7 for me is DK Money. He was so good in this fight compared to his King Kenny fight. I just really like the technique that he showed in this fight. He just looked very good. Even though his opponent was drugged, I think DK Money won this fight by disqualification. Number 6 for me is Luis Nestor. I think he is going to be a challenge for the influencer scene and would be great as well. The skill on Luis is amazing, and he fought so well in this fight. And pieced Callum King up very well. Number 5 for me is Joe Fournier. I think Joe did very good in this fight, and he showed KSI a good fight for a little bit. And he was just exciting to watch in this fight. Even though he got knocked out by a forearm, he was going to lose the fight, because if you look at the shot before the forearm, KSI was going to knock him out. Number 4 for me is Salt Pappy. I really think that this was Salt Pappy's worst performance, unfortunately. I was looking forward to see what he could do against Anthony Taylor. But it just didn't work in his favor. He was just trying to outbox Anthony, but it didn't work. Because he is an awkward fighter. Number 3 for me is DAZN. I think he did very good in the fight with Swarms and did put on a show. He really pieced up Swarms very well, and it was crazy how DAZN was not winning any fights. Until now, so that is so cool to see. Number 2 for me is Anthony Taylor. I really think he just people's mind on him from beating Salt Pappy, who was like one of the best in the scene and for me still is. Anthony really was an awkward fighter as usual and really showed his skill in this fight and did well piecing up Salt Pappy. Number 1 for me is KSI. He really showed amazing skill in this fight, even though it was a no contest. Due to KSI hitting Joe Fournier with a forearm, KSI was going to win anyway, so yeah, basically he did sort of. But I just loved how KSI controlled this fight. It was amazing. And that is it. I hope you enjoyed this video. Stay tuned for more content coming soon.